Welcome to today's lesson on the greatest common factor. Today you'll be learning how to find the greatest common factor between two or more numbers. Now, you might also see greatest common factor written as GCF, and that's a pretty common abbreviation. Alright, before we can get started, we need to review what a factor is. A factor is a number that's multiplied by another number to equal a product. For example, if we multiply 6 times 5, we get a product of 30. The factors in this problem are 6 and 5. Those are the two numbers that we multiply together to get the number 30. Our first step in finding the greatest common factor of two or more numbers is to list out all of the factors for each number. So let's go ahead and let's find the factors for the number 24. We can multiply 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. There aren't any other whole numbers that we can multiply together to equal 24. So now let's list those in order from least to greatest. The factors of 24 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Okay, now let's go ahead and move on and list all of the factors for the number 32. We have 1 times 32, 2 times 16. There isn't any number that we can multiply by 3, so let's go ahead and move on to 4. We can multiply 4 times 8. Now those are the only factors for the number 32, so let's go ahead and list those. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. It's very important that we write these numbers in order from least to greatest, and that's so that we can keep our information organized. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to circle the numbers that 24 and 32 have for factors that are the same. So they both have a factor of 1, 2, 4, and 8. Let's go ahead over here and circle 1, 2, 4, and 8. There aren't any other numbers that they have in common for factors. But we're not just looking for a common factor. We're looking for the greatest common factor. That means the biggest factor that they both have. So in this case, that's the number 8. They both have a factor of 8, and that's the largest number that they both have. So the greatest common factor for 24 and 32 is 8. Now that you've had the chance to find the greatest common factor for two numbers, do you think you can do it for 3? Let's go ahead and list out all of the factors for 18, 36, and 48. Let's start with 18. We know that we can multiply 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 6. There aren't any other numbers that we can multiply together to get the number 18. So let's go ahead and list those factors from least to greatest. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. All right, great job. Do you think you can do it again for the number 36? Let's go. We have 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and 6 times 6. So those are all of our factors. Now we just need to list them in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, 36. Wow, great work. That was a lot of factors. Do you think you can do all the factors for the number 48 too? Let's see. We have 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, and 6 times 8. All right, let's list the factors out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 24, I'm running out of room, 48. All right, great work. Our next step in finding the greatest common factor when you have 3 numbers is to compare all of the factors together. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually start with the largest number because we're looking for the greatest number that they all have in common. So let's look at 48. Do any of these have 48 as the greatest number? And they don't, so I'm going to cross out 48. How about 24? Neither 36 nor 18 have a factor of 24, so I'm going to cross that out. Let's look at 16. 36 and 18, neither of them have a factor of 16, so I'm going to cross that out again. How about 12? Well, 36 has a factor of 12, but 18 doesn't, so we can go ahead and cross out 12. How about 8? 36 does not have a factor of 8, and neither does 18. What about 6? 36 has a factor of 6, and 18 has a factor of 6. So we have now found our greatest common factor for these 3 numbers. The greatest common factors for 18, 36, and 48 equals 6. Let's take a moment to go through one more example together. This time, I'm going to give you all of the factors in order from least to greatest, and I want you to tell me what factor 12, 16, and 21 all have in common that's the greatest. All right, let's start with the number 12. Our factors in order from least to greatest: 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. All right, moving on to 16. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. And finally, 21. 1, 3, 7, and 21. All right, here's your task. Can you find the greatest common factor for these 3 numbers? Well, let's start with the largest number, 21. Do 16 and 12 have a factor of 21? No, they don't, so we're going to cross that out and move on to 7. Do either of them have a factor of 7? Nope. Moving on. How about 3? Well, 12 has a factor of 3, but 16 does not. So actually, that leaves us with one number. The greatest common factor for 12, 16, and 21 is actually the number 1 itself. That is the largest number that each of them have as a factor. You've done a great job. Let's go ahead and review the steps for finding the greatest common factor. Step 1, find the factors for each number. Step 2, organize the numbers from least to greatest in a number line. Step 3, circle the common factors for each number. And step 4, the greatest common factor is the highest number that is circled on the number line.